We were known as the Three Musketeers plus one: me, Ryan, Jack, and Bobby. Lainey was number 1+1 and later became my wife. Our gang came about through coincidence. Our families lived in the same neighborhood. We were the same age and went to school in the same grade. Everything we did, good or bad, we did together. As kids, we played doctor and got to know the body parts of the opposite sex by exploring each other. Our explorations were limited to brief touches because our parents threatened eternal damnation if we had premarital sex. When we dated girls in high school, we compared impressions of our accomplishments, except when we dated Lainey. Of course, we lied about our successes. We were known as practical jokers. Just a few examples. The principal's car was covered in toilet paper. Our old algebra teacher, a hag, was superglued to her chair. At graduation, we snuck into the school ahead of time and built a 6-foot-high wall of concrete blocks in the main school hallway. This last prank almost prevented me from graduating from high school, as I was the only one with construction skills. Too many examples for a short story to cite. Jack and Bobby went off to college. Lainey went to beauty school, and I went to a trade school for drafting and construction. I wanted to work with my dad in the construction business. He was the foreman of the owner's crew, Ben Stone. His duties were to evaluate potential jobs, prepare bids, and make sure the right materials were delivered to the sites on time. If a project was behind schedule, he stepped in wherever necessary. It was a job I wanted to eventually take over. I just didn't realize it would be so soon. My father died in a workplace accident about 2 years after I started working with him. My mom left me for another man years ago. I was left to fend for myself and was used to taking care of my own needs and the house. Mr. Stone called me and asked if I would take the foreman's job. But I was not sure and could not make up my mind, thinking myself too inexperienced. I doubted whether the brigade would follow my instructions. Mr. Stone said that he and Master Max had discussed it and that they trusted me. He said he felt my loyalty and was sure that by talking to the crew he could convince them to let me try it. Fortunately, the guys gave me some leeway until I got the hang of it. As for 3+1, we knew it was likely that one of us would marry Lainey. It just so happened to be me. She graduated from beauty school and started working at her aunt's salon. The fact that there were only 2 of the 3+1s in town made our marriage almost inevitable. Jack dropped out of college and came back to town a few years later. I found him a job on our construction crew. Bobby got injured playing soccer and dropped out of college when he was told he could never play again. He came back shortly after Jack and found a decent job in a factory. Both soon found girlfriends with whom they began serious relationships. Neither one was from around here. Soon our old company was revived and Bobby and Jack's wives joined in. They were told of our mischief and were soon persuaded to take part in our merrymaking, though they were not very enthusiastic about it. After a few years of mischief together, I matured. My version of the reason I became less inclined to fool around, while the others continued to do so. The final summation of all this was summed up by our trip to the Bahamas together. The resort we arrived at had a nudist beach. Lainey, Jack, and Bobby got us sufficient alcohol and whipped us up until we, all 6 of us, were naked. Everyone noted how our bodies had changed over the years. Jack and Bobby's wives were very embarrassed at first, as they had not been participants in our past sexual explorations. But once they saw the ease with which we approached it, they relaxed. I can't say that this scene had no effect on us at all. All of us guys got and kept getting involuntary erections the whole time because it was the first time we had seen our new wives in the flesh, and it had been a long time since they had seen a naked Lainey. Her body had changed, especially the size of her breasts. It seemed to me that Lainey, Jack, and Bobby had lustful expressions in their gazes, and the teasing we usually exchanged seemed to take on a whole different meaning when we were all naked. Jack and Bobby's wives refused to get involved except to take off their swimsuits. That evening at dinner, Lainey, Jack, and Bobby exchanged sexual innuendos at every opportunity. I told them, "One of these days you're all going to get so drunk, or you'll be stupid enough to go so far that our friendship will be ruined, if not completely destroyed." My comment was rejected by all 3. However, when my gaze fell on Lainey, I saw a different reaction. Having known her most of her life, and being a good poker player, I saw some kind of idea forming in her head. She was going to use my warning about the dangers of nude pampering to pull a new prank. I had a pretty good idea of what it would probably turn into. It was Friday night, and a couple weeks later, I was sent a video. It showed Lainey sleeping with Jack while Bobby takes her from behind. Then they switch places. The video looked edited and didn't last very long. At the end of the video, they begged me to join them next time. Jack and Bobby promised that their wives would get in on it too. Later that Friday night, Lainey, Jack, and Bobby had a long laugh about what they assumed Ryan's reaction would be. As soon as Lainey received confirmation that her husband had reviewed the email and the attached video, she and the guys headed to her and Ryan's house. They could barely contain their laughter. Lainey was happy to see Ryan's car still parked in the driveway. Good thing he hadn't done anything stupid like go get drunk. They opened the door, still giggling at what they thought was the best joke of their lives. Opening the door, Lainey started calling out for Ryan. "Ryan, we're home! We have another video we want to show you. Come on out! Don't be such a pain in the ass." No response. "He's probably sulking somewhere. I'll go find him." Lainey looked around but didn't see anything unusual. She entered his office and noticed his laptop was missing. Their safe was open. All the money was gone along with Ryan's passport. "Oh, shit!" She ran upstairs screaming Ryan's name. Ryan's toiletries and some of his summer clothes were gone too. On his dressing table was a note and his wedding ring. The note said, "Now you guys can have each other all you want." Lainey went downstairs and told Jack and Bobby about it. They grimaced, but then Bobby laughed. "That asshole figured it out. Now he's played a joke on us." All three of them laughed amicably. They were sure he had. Jack offered to send another video just in case, showing how the action was staged in the first video. Although doubts were once again swarming in the minds of the trio, they still found it hard to believe that something really bad could happen. Almost simultaneously, Jack and Bobby's cell phones rang. It was their wives. Their words were almost identical. "I just got a copy of the video from Ryan. Don't bother coming home. I'll see a lawyer on Monday. You're going to regret this." Jack and Bobby asked Lainey to make a copy of the second video to show their wives that it was just a joke. They then hurried home, promising to call each other and let each other know how it went. A few hours later, both reported that the second video didn't really change their wives' attitudes as much as they had hoped. The wives said they would still file the divorce papers, but would hold off until they calmed down. They wanted to talk to Ryan one more time before deciding what to do. Both husbands had to promise to stop the shenanigans. From now on, in the absence of their wives, they were forbidden to be around Lainey. Lainey sent Ryan a copy of the second video as soon as she could. In her email, as further proof that the first video was fake, she wrote, "You know I couldn't be cruel enough to actually have sex with our best friends, right?" A few hours later, she started calling relatives and co-workers to see if they had Ryan. She called his favorite bar as well, but no one had seen him or knew where he was. She waited and worried. Monday came. Jack called early Monday morning. "Lainey, Ryan didn't show up for work this morning. I asked about him at the office and was told he quit. When Mr. Stone came out of the office, he was angry. He told me that Ryan told him about the video when he quit. Mr. Stone told me that the only reason I still had a job was because Ryan's sudden departure left him without the right employee, and he couldn't afford to lose me too, at least not yet. Damn it, Lainey, you have to do something. I can't afford to lose this job." Lainey thought she was on good enough terms with Mr. Stone to talk to him in person. He was the only one who had spoken to Ryan since the first video was sent. He had a grim look on his face when Lainey walked in. "Thank you so much, Lainey. You managed to ruin my business. I hope you and the boys enjoyed your threesome." "Mr. Stone, it was a prank. We didn't actually do anything wrong. We made a second video showing how we faked the first one." Ryan reacted before he even saw the second video. "A prank? Having a threesome with your husband's best friends? You're just sick, girl, so who's laughing at this joke of yours?" "Right now, no one. We thought we could get to Ryan before he did something stupid." "Looks like you're the stupid one. Why are you here?" "When Ryan comes back, can he go back to his old job?" "If he comes back, he won't be rehired. According to company policy, anyone who quits without at least 2 weeks' notice will have a do not hire notation added to their personnel file. This morning, I added just such a note to his personnel file." But aren't there any exceptions? He was a good employee, wasn't he? He was a great employee, just like his